Ripple XRP. So we have a major bank that has now highlighted XRP in one of its examples. We also have some big news surrounding Ripple's reply to the SEC, and that was in relation to what the SEC has filed. It was that motion. We have some news about Nasdaq and what they're currently running trials in. We also have some BIS, or Bank for International Settlements projects, just a little update we're going to have a look at, and of course the price action for XRP coin. So all I ask from you are two things, which is to smash that like button and to subscribe to the channel as well. So we have the CEO of Standard Chartered. He talks about XRP as a medium of exchange, and he actually uses it as an example when talking about this as well.
Like Switzerland and China all testing out the digital currencies. How are you gearing up for the disruption of money with central bank digital currencies? How will it change the way you and other banks operate in future?
Probably fundamentally. While we're not formally involved, no foreign banks are involved in the Chinese ECNY. I think we're as close to that as we can be to understand how that digital currency can be used for cross-border trade. Going back 5 years, we had digital currency underpinned trade finance and money settlement systems, and using as a medium of exchange, using things like Ripple's XRP, for example, as a medium to affect real-time cross-border payments.
So obviously you can see over here that he has used it as an example, and we've seen many other cases when other people have highlighted Ripple XRP and their technology. And it's a big deal because we know that Standard Chartered is a multinational bank, and I believe that they have roughly around about 67 billion in assets. So we're seeing more and more people using Ripple XRP as an example, and we all know by now that these banks want to be getting in on this. Of course, the cross-border payments market is worth a lot of money. I believe that it is in the trillions actually, because Swift obviously conduct those payments as of now. But when we see players like Ripple XRP get in, it should be able to actually take a piece of the pie of that trillions. If we have a look over here, we have the Nasdaq, and also they're actually running trials. It's a very short clip, but the Ripple is actually seen running trials with Nasdaq, the second largest exchange, 20 trillion, and we could potentially be seeing Ripple XRP becoming one of the cryptocurrencies that are in demand.
And this guy sells it to that guy. That's essentially what the stock exchange does. So if you can have a common ledger to be able to exchange those IOUs at, then that certainly makes sense. And there's examples of Korean banks partnering with local Bitcoin companies for the settlement. People like the IMF or World Bank or these kind of people are always talking about these sort of blockchain settlement systems. Nasdaq is involved in I think doing some trials with Ripple as well. So
with that being said, that is pretty good bullish sentiment that we have. It's also important to note that Nasdaq actually did make roughly around about $6 billion in revenue, I think back in 2022. I'm sure that you've all heard of Nasdaq as of now. They do own and operate a few exchanges, I believe 3 stock exchanges. So this is some pretty good stuff. And again, when it comes to Ripple, we're actually seeing more connections with not only Nasdaq, but also these major banks. And they're becoming much more popular than you guys actually think. So some news in terms of the Ripple versus SEC lawsuit case. I believe over a week ago now, the SEC actually did file the motion, and they wanted some information, bits and pieces from Ripple. And one of the pieces of information were the financial statements. I think it was from 2022 to 2023. And another bit of information that they wanted as well. Now, with that, Ripple have actually come back and they have made their file assert reply in relation to the SEC's motion to compel. So let's take a look at what they have said. And in this letter, you will see their response. So they say that the SEC claims that Ripple does not argue that it would be burdened in producing post-complaint contracts. Reply letter at 2, that is false. Ripple specifically objected to the SEC's request as overly burdensome. The SEC then doubles down on its misstatement, asserting that Ripple recently catalogued and presumably produced in the ongoing class action suit all of Ripple's XRP sales contracts from 2022 to June 2023, including determining the identity of the counterparties to those contracts. And that is false as well. Ripple did not produce any contracts post-dating December 2022 to 20 in Zakhanov, nor did Ripple catalogue these contracts in connection with the class action litigation. Further, the discovery request seeks contracts beyond the OZL contracts referenced generally in the declaration, including contracts with or relating to vendors, consultants, independent contractors, grants, donations, and other counterparties. And finally, the court should disregard these misstatements of fact raised for the first time in the SEC's reply. Now, a few people have been very frustrated because obviously we've had the SEC file for that motion to compel, and then we've had Ripple hit back. But I think that Ripple are in the right at this point, because I believe that the SEC want to actually look at the present and future ODL contracts, and so that they can actually confirm the legality. But Ripple are essentially saying that it is burdensome, and also they are saying that the SEC have misstated facts. And to be honest with you, it wouldn't surprise me, because we have seen other cases that the SEC have been involved with, and they have misrepresented facts in those cases, and so it could be very highly likely that we could actually be seeing that as well. And also to mention that the SEC is actually asking for more information that is not necessary at this rate, and so that is why we are seeing this case essentially being pulled out again and being delayed. I think that the SEC is trying to mislead the SEC lawyers. We already know that they are not actually the best, and it's probably another delayed tactic from the SEC when they actually filed that motion to compel. And I believe that Ripple essentially think that producing the post-complaint contracts is burdensome, and that they did not produce them for the Zakhanov case. So an important date that we actually do have for this lawsuit is the 12th of February. Not so long now, we only have roughly around about 2 weeks, and that is when the remedies briefing begins. However, it still seems like as if the SEC and Ripple are not in the remedies stages yet, because the SEC are asking for a few bits of information. However, Ripple are essentially hitting back at the SEC saying, well, number one, you're misrepresenting the facts, and then number two, you actually don't need this information. And so I'm not quite sure as to how we are going to be doing when it comes to the remedies stages, because we're not so far away from that. But I thought that I'd just check in with you on that lawsuit case. Now, we have the Bank of International Settlements. We have a few upcoming projects in 2024 that you guys should know about. So we have Project Leap, which is moving into its second phase. This project is exploring ways to safeguard payment system against potential threats from quantum computing. It's a Eurosystem center. Project Symbiosis, Hong Kong center. This project is utilizing AI and big data to improve transparency in supply chain disclosures. Project Urim, which I believe I covered in one of my previous videos just yesterday. Hong Kong Center concentrating on the privacy aspects of retail CBDC transactions, and this project seeks to enhance the design of CBDC systems with input for academia and privacy regulators. Project NGFS Data Directory 2.0 Singapore Center. It aims to update the data directory platform of the network for greening the financial system, enhancing its functionality and user friendliness. Project Promisor. This initiative is exploring the tokenization of promissory notes through distributed ledger technology in collaboration with the Swiss National Bank and the World Bank Group. And Project Hertha London Center is focusing on using network analytics to detect financial crime patterns in payment systems. So it's a pretty nice breakdown here, and we've seen all of these key themes before, you know, AI, tokenization, and also financial crime. So I thought I'd just show you the projects that the BIS are currently working on. And before we have a look at the price action for today, I just want to show you what Jim Kramer has said in relation to XRP. Now, he actually does talk about Solana as well, but it just goes to show as to why you shouldn't be listening to him.
But we can put up these currencies, and like I question, well, what do we know about Solana? What do we know about XRP? I mean, and the answer is zero. And the reason why we know zero is because the government doesn't feel that it should be regulated. And we put them up. We could put up lots of it. We could have put up Enron. That was a very well traded stock. So, I mean, I question why we put these up. I know that that's maybe seditious, but I question why we're not allowed to question any of these things.
In terms of his statements, I think it's absolutely ridiculous, you know, blaming it on the government, saying that it's because it's not regulated. Well, that's why we know nothing about XRP or Solana. Obviously, that is not the case. We know so much about XRP, Solana, we know about their utility. And in terms of the other cryptocurrency coins, he's just bashing these two for some sort of reason. But notice how Dogecoin is there, and yet he hasn't even spoken about that. But he decided to target these two coins. Again, always take what Jim Kramer says with a pinch of salt. So the price action for XRP coin, we are trading at 0.509. We are down by 1.13% on the one-day chart. For the volume, we are down by 25.9%, and we are trading just under that $800,000 mark. So in the earlier hours of the morning for today, we were trading at 0.518, and you'll see over here that we had that massive dip to 0.5094. Now on the 7-day chart, we are down by 9.19%. relatively the past few days we've just been down by under 10%. The biggest dip that we did have back on the 19th was to 0.5269, so we're currently away from it at 2 cents. And over here we were actually at that 0.4981 when we took that massive drop off, and I thought we could potentially retrace back to 48 cents. You'll see though that now we are on the border of the 50-cent mark. Yes, we have been pretty red. If we have a look at the 1 month chart, we have suffered quite a lot. The price action hasn't been as good as we'd like. We are down by 20.21%, and pretty much we are taking that massive hit. We have seen this first dip over here, and then we've now got the second dip. So where could XRP coin potentially go? Well, I think it could potentially retrace back to 48 cents if we have a bearish sentiment, and we should be able to potentially actually sit there for a few days and then possibly come back up to the 50-cent range. However, I do want XRP coin to actually remain within the 53-cent to 55-cent range. I mean, even in terms of 55 cents, it's only a 5-cent upward movement that needs to go from here. Everything has obviously taken a massive hit. I mean, on the 24-hour volume, we are down by 23.76%. It does seem like as if the price is essentially going to be moving very slow. We are seeing a very big pullback and retracement, but let's see if we can get to that 55-cent mark. Guys, if you want daily Ripple XRP coin news, subscribe to the channel and like the video as well.